These Golden Age legends lit up Hollywood, but their final chapters carried echoes the screen could never capture. Marlon Brando rose from tough beginnings to become a force of nature in films like The Godfather. His presence so raw it felt carved from lightning. He lived boldly and privately, but by 2004, at age 80, his health had worn thin. His story closed with congestive heart failure, leaving behind a legacy that still trembles through modern acting. Humphrey Bogart, forever etched as the cool, conflicted soul of Casablanca, shaped an entire generation's idea of what a leading man could be. Yet behind the charm and flint-edged dialogue was a man battling real pain. In 1957, at just 57 years old, his life ended after a difficult fight with esophageal cancer. James Stewart, with that unmistakable earnestness in It's a Wonderful Life, carried a gentleness that felt like home. He aged with quiet dignity, stepping away from the spotlight, but never from the hearts of audiences. His long journey ended in 1997 at 89, when a pulmonary embolism brought the curtain down. Cary Grant, all elegance and effortless wit in classics like North by Northwest, aged like a constellation, still glowing even when he stepped off screen. While preparing for a stage appearance in 1986, he fell ill, and at 82, a stroke claimed him. Even in farewell, he remained pure Hollywood grace. Laurence Olivier, the titan who reshaped Shakespeare for film, carried an intensity that rewired what acting could be. His career stretched across continents and styles, always with magnetic power. In 1989, at 82, cancer ended his remarkable run, but his influence still whispers through every stage and screen. Orson Welles, the audacious mind behind Citizen Kane, never stopped reinventing the art form, even when the world wasn't ready for his leaps. His later years were quieter, focused on voice work and passion projects. In 1985, at 70, a heart attack ended the life of one of cinema's great revolutionaries. Henry Fonda, the moral backbone of films like The Grapes of Wrath, carried a rugged sincerity rare even in his era. His work reached deep, often touching the most human corners of justice and compassion. In 1982, at 77, he passed from cardiovascular disease, leaving a legacy of stoic, steady brilliance. John Wayne, the towering symbol of American westerns, strode across screens with boots full of grit and conviction. But behind the legend was a long battle with illness. In 1979, at 72, stomach cancer ended the life of the man known simply as the Duke. Charlie Chaplin, the timeless genius behind The Tramp, built comedy out of tenderness and crafted stories that still shimmer across generations. He spent his later years in Switzerland, surrounded by family and quiet reflection. In 1977, at 88, a stroke brought his long, extraordinary life to a peaceful end. Gregory Peck, unforgettable as the moral anchor of To Kill a Mockingbird, carried a noble weight in every role. His voice alone felt like a compass pointing toward decency. In 2003, at 87, he died from bronchopneumonia, but his legacy remains an evergreen symbol of integrity. Gary Cooper, the understated giant of High Noon, worked with a calm conviction that made his performances deeply human. Loved worldwide, he faced his final years with the same quiet strength. In 1961, at 60, prostate cancer took him far too early. Alec Guinness, the chameleon who moved from the bridge on the river Kwai to the wise Obi-Wan Kenobi, lived a life of astonishing range. Even as his roles evolved, his subtle brilliance never dimmed. In 2000, at 86, liver cancer claimed him, but his characters live on in film history. Clark Gable, Hollywood's enduring king, and the unforgettable Rhett Butler brought rugged charm to every frame. His energy on set was legendary, yet his health faltered toward the end. In 1960, at 59, a heart attack ended his reign too soon. James Dean, the eternal symbol of rebellion and rebel without a cause, burned with a fierce, meteoric glow. His promise felt limitless. But in 1955, at just 24, a tragic traffic collision froze him in time, forever young in the cultural memory. Kirk Douglas, the steel-willed star of Spartacus, lived long enough to become a monument to Hollywood's past. Even as the years stacked high, his spirit stayed unbroken. In 2020, at 103, he passed from natural causes, closing a century-long story of grit and artistry. Gene Kelly, the whirlwind talent behind Singin' in the Rain, danced with such joy it felt like the world grew lighter around him. His creative fire reshaped the musical forever. In 1996, at 83, a stroke silenced the rhythm, but the spark he left behind still flickers. Spencer Tracy, revered for his grounded truth in films like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, carried depth like few others. His performances felt lived in, honest, and human. In 1967, at 67, a heart attack ended a career built on emotional sincerity. William Holden, the rugged star of Sunset Boulevard and Stalag 17, balanced charm with a grounded humanity that made every role resonate. His later life grew quieter, marked by personal struggles. In 1981, at 63, he died from an accidental fall at home. James Cagney, the electrifying presence behind White Heat, carved out a reputation for intensity wrapped in craftsmanship. Even off-screen, he radiated warmth and sharp wit. In 1986, at 86, a heart attack brought his remarkable run to its end. Edward G. Robinson, immortal from Little Caesar and countless crime dramas, brought a unique force to the screen with intelligence simmering beneath every line. In 1973, at 79, bladder cancer ended the life of one of Hollywood's most distinctive voices. Paul Newman, the cool blue-eyed legend of Cool Hand Luke, and so many soulful dramas, lived with a rare blend of humility and star power. He poured himself into acting, racing, and philanthropy with the same steady fire. In 2008, at 83, lung cancer brought his long, generous journey to a close. Sidney Poitier, the barrier-breaking force behind Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and the first black man to win the Best Actor Oscar, radiated dignity on and off the screen. His presence shifted Hollywood's axis. In 2022, at 94, he passed away after battling Alzheimer's disease. Sterling Hayden, the rugged rebel of the asphalt jungle and Dr. Strangelove, drifted between acting, sailing, and a life lived on his own stubborn terms. His later years were quieter but still fiercely independent. In 1986, at 70, prostate cancer ended his restless voyage. Groucho Marx, the razor-tongued mastermind of the Marx Brothers, spun chaos and wit into comedy that still crackles with life. His cigar, his eyebrows, his timing, pure alchemy. In 1977, at 86, pneumonia carried him away, but not the laughter he left behind. Jack Lemmon, the endlessly relatable star of Some Like It Hot and The Apartment, blended humor and heartbreak with effortless charm. He aged like an old friend audiences never wanted to lose. In 2001, at 76, bladder cancer claimed him. Burt Lancaster, the acrobat turned actor whose presence roared in films like From Here to Eternity, carried a bold, athletic charisma. His later work deepened into something even richer. In 1994, at 80, a heart attack ended his commanding run. Robert Mitchum, the laconic, magnetic star of Night of the Hunter, brought a rebellious cool no one could quite replicate. Even in old age, his voice felt carved from shadow. In 1997, at 79, emphysema brought his story to its last frame. Buster Keaton, the stone-faced genius of silent comedy, engineered stunts that defied gravity and built humor out of pure invention. His influence shaped an entire art form. In 1966, at 70, lung cancer dimmed the brilliance of one of cinema's earliest giants. Joseph Cotten, the steady, elegant presence in Citizen Kane and The Third Man carried a quiet power that lifted every scene he entered. His career stretched across decades with a calm, dignified glow. In 1994, at 88, pneumonia ended his long life. Montgomery Clift, the sensitive soul behind A Place in the Sun, reshaped acting with his raw vulnerability. His life was turbulent, brilliant, and heartbreakingly brief. In 1966, at just 45, he died of a heart attack. Charlton Heston, the commanding star of Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments, moved through Hollywood with an almost mythic authority. Even as age softened him, that heroic aura remained. In 2008, at 84, pneumonia brought his story to a close. Rock Hudson, the handsome leading man of romantic classics and later a courageous public figure, captured hearts long before his final years reshaped the conversation around illness and stigma. In 1985, at 59, he died from complications related to HIV/AIDS. Ernest Borgnine, the warm, big-hearted Oscar winner from Marty, stayed busy and joyful well into his later years, always carrying that unmistakable everyman charm. In 2012, at 95, kidney failure brought his journey to a peaceful end. Richard Burton, the volcanic Welsh star of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, lived life with thunderous passion on stage, on screen, and off. His brilliance was matched only by his intensity. In 1984, at 58, a hemorrhagic stroke cut short a life that burned fiercely. Claude Rains, the refined voice and layered presence of Casablanca and The Invisible Man, shaped characters with elegance and subtlety. His work still feels timeless. In 1967, at 77, cirrhosis of the liver ended his distinguished life. Paul Muni, the transformative actor of Scarface and the story of Louis Pasteur, vanished completely into his roles, earning deep respect in every corner of the industry. His later years were quiet and private. In 1967, at 71, a heart disorder brought his story to its end. Maximilian Schell, the intense, articulate talent from Judgment at Nuremberg, carried a commanding depth across film and stage. His work echoed with moral complexity. In 2014, at 83, he died from complications of an unspecified illness. Tony Curtis, the irresistible star of Some Like It Hot and Spartacus, charmed his way through decades of Hollywood. His energy was youthful even in old age. In 2010, at 85, cardiac arrest ended his long, colorful life. Peter Lorre, the unforgettable character actor from M and Casablanca, brought haunting nuance to every role, his voice and expression instantly recognizable. In 1964, at 59, a stroke took him far too soon. George Raft, the smooth, sharp-edged star of gangster classics, moved with real-life underworld swagger and Hollywood polish. He remained stylish and enigmatic till the end. In 1980, at 79, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease ended his long, varied journey. George C. Scott, the fierce and uncompromising star of Patton, brought volcanic emotion to every role he touched, rejecting Hollywood glamour while redefining screen intensity. His later years were quieter, but still edged with that unmistakable fire. In 1999, at 71, an abdominal aortic aneurysm took him suddenly. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling daredevil of the adventures of Robin Hood, lived a life as wild as his on-screen heroics, full of charm, scandal, and restless energy. But that speed came with a cost. In 1959, at only 50, a heart attack ended the legend's untamed run. Martin Landau, the thoughtful and shape-shifting actor from Ed Wood, carried a quiet brilliance that unfolded across decades. His resurgence late in life showed how enduring talent can be. In 2017, at 89, cardiovascular disease brought his final fade out. Anthony Quinn, the earthy, magnetic force behind Zorba the Greek, filled every frame with appetite and soul. living with a contagious hunger for art and life. In 2001, at 86, respiratory failure closed the long, colorful novel of his life. John Cassavetes, the raw, fearless father of American independent film, poured his spirit into works like A Woman Under the Influence, turning emotion into electricity. His life burned bright but hard. In 1989, at 59, cirrhosis of the liver claimed him. Lee Marvin, the gravel-voiced tough guy of The Dirty Dozen, brought rugged authenticity to every performance, shaped by his own wartime scars. His presence remained powerful even in age. In 1987, at 63, a heart attack ended his steely legacy. Rex Harrison, the charming, sharp-witted star of My Fair Lady, carried himself with aristocratic ease, commanding stages and screens with effortless elegance. In 1990, at 82, pancreatic cancer brought the curtain down. Jason Roberts, the masterful character actor from All the President's Men, brought depth and gravity to even the smallest scenes, his voice carrying the weight of lived experience. In 2000, at 78, lung cancer ended his long and acclaimed career. Lionel Barrymore, the venerable patriarch of film who gave unforgettable life to Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life, kept acting even as illness confined him to a wheelchair. His storied life ended in 1954, at 76, after a heart attack. Charles Laughton, the transformative talent behind The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Witness for the prosecution, could disappear inside roles with uncanny skill. His life was filled with creative risk and brilliance. In 1962, at 63, kidney failure brought his final bow. Lee J. Cobb, the powerhouse behind 12 Angry Men, infused every role with emotional weight and thunderous conviction. His performances felt carved from truth. In 1976, at 64, a heart attack silenced his formidable presence. Christopher Plummer, the refined, endlessly working star of The Sound of Music, became more brilliant with age, his performances deepening into something timeless. In 2021, at 91, complications from a fall ended his extraordinary journey. Tyrone Power, the dashing star of The Mark of Zorro, was known for charm, athletic grace, and a career bursting with promise. Tragically, in 1958, at only 44, he collapsed on set and died from a heart attack, leaving Hollywood stunned. Jeffrey Hunter, known for his striking role in The Searchers and as Captain Pike in Star Trek, carried a youthful intensity that hinted at far more to come. But in 1969, at just 42, he died after suffering a stroke from a fall, leaving behind a sense of unfinished promise. Dirk Bogarde, the introspective British star of Death in Venice, brought quiet, haunting power to his characters, choosing roles of uncommon emotional depth. In 1999, at 78, a heart attack ended his quietly influential career. Robert Taylor, the polished leading man of Quo Vadis, moved smoothly through Hollywood's golden years with grace and quiet charm. In 1969, at 57, lung cancer took him far too early. Rod Steiger, the intense and fiercely committed actor of In the Heat of the Night, brought such emotional gravity that his performances seemed to vibrate with truth. In 2002, at 77, pneumonia ended his long, respected career. Peter Finch, the passionate talent behind his unforgettable role in Network, worked with a restless electricity that made every moment count. In 1977, at 60, he died of a heart attack just before winning a historic posthumous Oscar. Jeff Richards, the actor and former athlete who brought an easy charm to Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, enjoyed a brief but memorable moment in Hollywood spotlight. In 1989, at 64, acute respiratory failure ended his life. Glenn Ford, the steady, quietly compelling star of Gilda and countless westerns, kept a grounded strength throughout his long career. In 2006, at 90, lung cancer closed the final chapter of a life woven deeply into Hollywood history. John Derek, the actor turned director known for films like The Ten Commandments and his later work shaping careers behind the camera, carried a cool, quiet confidence throughout Hollywood's shifting eras. In 1998, at 71, congestive heart failure brought his long creative life to an end. Joel M.C. Cree, the warm, dependable star of Sullivan's Travels and countless westerns, built a career on honesty and understated charm. Even as the spotlight faded, he remained a beloved figure. In 1990, at 84, pneumonia closed his final chapter. Jack Warden, the versatile character actor from Heaven Can Wait and 12 Angry Men, always brought a lived-in authenticity that made every role feel human. In 2006, at 85, cardiovascular disease ended his steady, admirable journey. Cliff Robertson, remembered for Charlie and later beloved as Uncle Ben in Spider-Man, carried a thoughtful dignity through every performance. In 2011, at 88, he passed from natural causes after a long, full life. Gilbert Roland, the handsome matinee idol of the bad and the beautiful and a fixture of early Hollywood romance, aged with grace while never losing his effortless charm. In 1994, at 88, cancer brought his storied career to its end. James Mason, the refined and commanding presence of A Star is Born, carried a velvety voice and emotional depth that made his roles unforgettable. In 1984, at 75, he died of a heart attack. Warner Baxter, the Oscar winner for An Old Arizona, moved from silent film to talkies with striking ease, becoming one of early Hollywood's dependable leading men. In 1951, at 62, pneumonia brought his life to a close. Wallace Beery, the powerful, larger-than-life star of The Champ, filled the screen with gruff warmth and charisma that audiences adored. In 1949, at 64, a heart attack ended his long run. Robert Donat, the gentle and eloquent star of Goodbye, Mr. Chips, carried a softness that left a deep emotional imprint on audiences. In 1958, at just 53, a brain tumor claimed him. Victor M.C. Lagelan, the rugged, boisterous presence of The Informer and John Ford's Irish classics, embodied strength and humor in equal measure. In 1959, at 72, his life ended after a heart attack. Paul Lukas, known for his powerful performance in Watch on the Rhine, brought intelligence and quiet authority to his work. In 1971, at 77, he died from heart failure. Broderick Crawford, the gravel-voiced powerhouse of All the King's Men, played intensity with a rare authenticity that felt carved from real life. In 1986, at 74, a stroke ended his remarkable career. David Niven, the elegant wit of Around the World in 80 Days and The Pink Panther, charmed his way through Hollywood with unmatched sophistication. In 1983, at 73, motor neuron disease gently drew his story to a close. Paul Scofield, the commanding stage and screen actor of A Man for All Seasons, brought a moral gravity that made his performances unforgettable. In 2008, at 86, leukemia ended the life of this towering talent. Tom Mix, the fearless cowboy hero of silent westerns, performed his own stunts and shaped the genre's earliest identity with daredevil energy. In 1940, at 60, a tragic traffic collision took his life. Bronco Billy Anderson, the very first cowboy movie star, helped invent the Western itself through hundreds of early films. In 1971, at 90, a heart attack ended the life of one of cinema's true pioneers. Erich von Stroheim, the uncompromising auteur behind Greed and a striking actor in his own right, lived a life of creative rebellion and artistic ambition. In 1957, at 71, cancer brought down one of cinema's great iconoclasts. Douglas Fairbanks, the swashbuckling legend of The Thief of Baghdad and Robin Hood, embodied athletic grace and pure adventure on screen. In 1939, at 56, a heart attack silenced Hollywood's original action hero. Rudolph Valentino, the silent-era heartthrob who electrified audiences in The Shake, captivated the world with his commanding presence. In 1926, at only 31, he died suddenly from a ruptured gastric ulcer, leaving fans stunned and grieving the loss of a cinematic icon. Lon Chaney, the transformative genius behind The Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, shaped horror through sheer physical and emotional mastery. In 1930, at 47, a throat hemorrhage caused by bronchial lung cancer ended the life of the Man of a Thousand Faces. Harold Lloyd, the silent-era daredevil whose hanging from the clock face imagery became cinematic legend, carried his fearless creativity through decades of film history. Known for Safety Last and his boundless stunt work, he shaped Hollywood's early grammar of physical comedy. His life came to a close at 77 after a battle with prostate cancer, leaving behind a legacy that still sparks conversations about courage and invention in cinema. Fred Astaire, the man who made elegance feel effortless, danced his way into film history with works like Top Hat and Swing Time, turning every movement into poetry. Even off-screen, he was revered as a master of discipline and precision. Astaire died at 88 from pneumonia, closing the curtain on one of Hollywood's most graceful, revolutionary performers. Mickey Rooney, the endlessly energetic star of National Velvet and the iconic Andy Hardy films, spent over 9 decades lighting up screens with his incomparable charisma. His impact stretched across generations and genres. He passed away at 93 from natural causes, leaving Hollywood without one of its most enduring sparks of talent. Sidney Greenstreet, unforgettable as Casper Gutman in The Maltese Falcon, brought a commanding presence and voice that felt carved from velvet and steel. His late entry into film never slowed his rise to iconic status. He died at 74 due to complications from diabetes, concluding a career that proved timeless performances can come at any age. Richard Widmark, the man who stunned audiences with his chilling debut in Kiss of Death, spent decades reinventing himself across noir, drama, and westerns. His intense eyes and electric delivery made every role linger. Widmark passed at 93 after a long illness, ending the journey of one of Hollywood's most quietly powerful actors. Boris Karloff, forever immortal as Frankenstein's monster, shaped horror into an art form with performances that blended sorrow with terror. His work in The Mummy and countless genre films carved him into cinematic mythology. He died at 81 from pneumonia, leaving behind a shadow that continues to inspire the world of horror. John Gielgud, a titan of classical theater who delivered Shakespeare like lightning wrapped in silk, conquered film as well with roles in Arthur and Beckett. His voice and presence became a hallmark of sophistication. He passed at 96 from a respiratory tract infection, ending a near century of artistic mastery. Walter Matthau, whose dry wit and unmistakable timing elevated films like The Odd Couple and The Sunshine Boys, charmed audiences with a blend of gruff warmth and sharp humor. His chemistry with Jack Lemmon became legend. Matthau died at 79 from a heart attack, closing a life defined by effortless comedic brilliance. Marcello Mastroianni, the soulful face of Italian cinema, mesmerized viewers in La Dolce Vita and 8, effortlessly blending melancholy and charm. He became the international symbol of introspective masculinity on screen. He passed at 72 from pancreatic cancer, ending a career that helped reshape world cinema. Victor Mature, known for his roles in Samson and Delilah and My Darling Clementine, carried a rugged charisma that left a distinct mark on mid-century Hollywood epics and westerns. His versatility made him a fixture across genres. He died at 86 from leukemia, leaving behind a body of work rich with unmistakable presence. Ralph Richardson, one of Britain's legendary Holy Trinity of actors alongside Gielgud and Olivier, captivated audiences with his performances in The Heiress and Greystoke. His nuance and intelligence on stage and on screen were unmatched. Richardson died at 80 after a stroke, closing the book on a monumental acting life. Toshiro Mifune, the blazing force behind classics like Seven Samurai and Yojimbo, embodied intensity like few actors ever have. His partnership with Akira Kurosawa reshaped global cinema. Mifune died at 77 from multiple organ dysfunction syndrome, leaving behind one of the most influential legacies in film history. Frederick March, celebrated for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and The Best Years of Our Lives, brought emotional truth and fearless range to every frame he touched. He stood as one of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actors. March passed at 77 from prostate cancer, ending a career defined by depth and integrity. Jean Gabin, the quiet storm of French cinema, gave unforgettable performances in Pepe Le Moko and La Grande Illusion, embodying toughness and vulnerability with equal mastery. His presence became the heartbeat of pre- and post-war European film. Gabin died at 72 from leukemia, sealing a legacy revered worldwide. Takashi Shimura, who moved audiences to tears in Ikiru and anchored Kurosawa's ensemble films like Seven Samurai, carried a gentle gravity that made him unforgettable. His subtlety became his power. Shimura died at 76 from emphysema, leaving behind some of cinema's most human performances. Michel Simon, the eccentric genius behind Voodoo Saved from Drowning and Latolandi, brought a magnetic unpredictability to his roles that made him impossible to ignore. His characters felt startlingly alive. He died at 80 from a pulmonary embolism, ending a life steeped in bold, unforgettable artistry. Max Linder, the pioneering comedian who inspired Charlie Chaplin, shaped film comedy in its earliest days with charm, sophistication, and fearless innovation. His fragile life ended tragically by suicide at 41, cutting short a talent that helped blueprint cinematic humor. Jacques Tati, the visionary behind Playtime and the gentle chaos of Monsieur Hewlett, reinvented cinematic comedy with imagination and precision. His films invited audiences into living, breathing worlds of subtle humor. Tati died at 75 from a pulmonary embolism, leaving a creative legacy studied to this day. Charles Bronson, the steely star of Death Wish and countless westerns and action films, captivated audiences with his stoic intensity and unmistakable screen presence. He became one of Hollywood's most iconic tough figures. Bronson died at 81 from pneumonia, leaving behind decades of hard-edged performances. Bela Lugosi, who forever etched himself into dark film mythology as Count Dracula, shaped the horror genre with his hypnotic presence and rich accent. Even outside horror, his theatrical elegance never faded. Lugosi died at 73 from a heart attack, closing the story of a man who helped build the foundation of cinematic fear. Their stories may have ended, but their shadows still dance across the silver screen.